episode 4, 212. We reached 212. This is Decoded Podcast, and I'm going to kick things off. Well, on ramp, we're talking about the pizza that Chris sent me on my birthday,
Mick
which was
Frank.
Mick Frank from Franklin Pizzeria here in Kitchener. It is a
Props to Sonia. Props to Sonia. Yeah, anyone's going out that way, say hi to Sonia. Sonia was fantastic. She was really, really kind, really cool, happy to help out. So props for them repping and being just as happy. Like they're like, this is awesome. Like, where are you calling from? Like it was a really cool moment. I'm having a sense like it was similar to the recon that you did when I was in Ottawa and you grabbed the tab at the Albert? No, what was it?
um,
What was the diner?
I'm Wellington Diner.
Mhm. So that was cool. That was cool. Keep going, man. I want to hear about this experience.
Um, so you kind of threw me off with the service because even when I went the first time, to- so in the summer, my boys and I went to Franklin Pizza to get this pizza. And I remember going in and, the lady who it could have been Sonia, she was like really nice and asking me how my day was and stuff. And I said, I'm here for the Big Mac pizza. She's like, right on. I said, I want to get another pizza as well. Like what's tell me about your pizzas. I channeled you. I was like, tell me, what do I get here? What do people get here? Um, and she was good about that. So she explained, and we did our thing. We got our pizza, but um, so let me. Okay, I am one of those people that on my birthday, I have this funny feeling. I have like this really kind of cool sensation. Maybe it's reflective. I don't get all sad. I'm not like, oh, I'm older now, I'm sad. I don't get like that. I just get like, this is kind of cool. Like it's the day I was born, it's my birthday, and all throughout my life, it's always been a day where people treat me nice, and I like that. Not that they don't treat me nice every other day, but I don't know why. Chris is, for those of you who are listening, Chris is laughing on the other end
These are
uncontrollably.
this is happy, sad tears. I'm like, my friend is saying that it's a nice day because they treat you nice. I'm like, dude, like, okay. I said I'm happy for you, but I'm like, right away I go like, who hurt you? Who hurt you before that this is a surprise. This is a delightful surprise on your birthday. That's why and yeah, I'm laughing. Totally wrong response if
No,
I'm
no,
actually trying to be compassionate about you not having people nice to you. But that's why that's why. That's the why.
yeah, like I'm not offended or anything. I'm
No,
just
no.
like, um, anyway. So it's like people are nice to you, and it's like it's supposed to be kind of a fun day. But here's the thing that I built into it this year. I was like, I don't really care what happens today because I'm making it what I want it to be. So it doesn't matter if people wish me happy birthday and if people this or people that. It's like I'm taking control of the day, which is weird to say because I usually do take control of my day. So, but it's my birthday, so I've got that funny birthday feeling, and I've got the I'm just gonna do what I do. And so people are like, "How's your day going so far?" I'm like, "It's awesome." And they're like, "What are your plans tonight?" So I kind of tell them or whatever. And so I have a great work day. I have a great like rolling day, like in my mind and the way I operate. It was a good day. And so we're at home at night, and we have dinner and we have some cake. And then we go to my youngest. It was meet the teacher night, so we go to the school to meet the teacher. That goes great. We come home, and again, like I'm on cloud nine. It's been a great day. So this is the funniest part. So um, we, as you know, we have a bunny. We have a rabbit, a new rabbit. So so the rabbit gets, when we're home, the rabbit gets to roam freely. And so the rabbit's in the living room, and I'm laying on the floor, literally like talking rabbit talk. I'm all talking like I'm talking to a baby, right? And I'm literally like, this is what I'm doing. So the rest of the family's, one kid's playing video games in one place, the other kid's playing video games in the other place. My wife is doing like she's doing her thing in the other room. and I'm laying on the ground, I'm playing with the bunny, and the doorbell rings. It's like 8:15 PM. And,
Mhm.
football Thursday night football is coming on at 8:30, and it's, the 2 teams playing. One of them's my favorite, one of them's my son's favorite. So I'm kinda in the zone, I'm feeling good, it's a Thursday night. The doorbell rings, and my wife says, "Roland, that's for you." And I'm like, it was the weirdest thing because 'cause I'm like, "You how do you even know who's at the door?" Number 1. Number 2, I don't wanna answer the door, it's 8:15. Like, who's I'm with the bunny, I'm chilling. And I'm like, "Okay, hold on, I just gotta make sure the bunny's good." I'll just make sure I know where he is so that when I come back 30 seconds later, he's still in the same place. I guess I went too slow. She gets up, she opens the door, and I hear her say, "Okay, thank you." So I walk close to the door and I'm like, "Who was that?" And she's holding a pizza box. She goes,
Mhm.
"This is for you." And I was like, "What?" And she gives it to me and I open it and it says, "Happy birthday, bro." And she's like, "It's from Clough." I'm like, "Oh my god, this is awesome." And so we're both kind of laughing. She's telling me the backstory. And so, as I've told you, my day is rolling. Like I'm having a great day and I've made it great. Like no matter what was going to happen that day, it was like, no, this is going to be a good day because I get to decide how my day goes. So I take it into the kitchen and she's like, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "Where are the boys?" And this is the thing. So Clough knows that I talk a lot about what I call nighttime pizza. There's something around that hour of night between like 8 and 10 where I have this nostalgic feeling. Um, when I was a kid, we didn't get takeout often. We didn't order in pizza. But sometimes when I was a kid, I'd go to bed, I'd wake up in the morning, I come downstairs to the kitchen, I would see an empty pizza box and I'm like, son of a, my parents got pizza while my brother and sister and I were in bed. So it's like I missed out on something. I missed out on like this impromptu kind of special thing going on, right? So I've got this thing in my head. So I'm living in that moment now. It's like 8:30. I've got this pizza. So I yell up to my one son, I'm like, "Hey, get down here. We got pizza." So instantly he like appears. He's like, "Where'd it come from? What happened? Who ordered pizza?" And he's as excited as I am. I'm like, "Clough ordered it for me." And then can I have some? Like, because they're like, "Well, if it's your pizza, are you gonna share it?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, let's go. Go open the
It's
box."
the moment playing out that you never got to play in when you were a kid, right?
That's
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "What kind?" I'm like, "Open the box." And then he's like, "Boom." And then he said something positive about you. I'm like, "Hold on, let's record this and send it to him." So that was the first polo. And then I yelled downstairs to my oldest, I'm like, "Get your rear end up here. We got pizza." So he appears and he's like, "Who ordered pizza? Where'd this come from? Why is this happening?" And I tell him the same thing. He's like, "Clough's the man." I'm like, "Get that on video. Send it to Clough." So we're all in the kitchen and they're just staring at me. I'm like, "Go nuts. Like, take what you want." So they all grab a couple of slices. And Sarah and I are just laughing and eating pizza. And I'm like, whoa, this is the moment, right? This is the moment. That's just part of my day. It's just flowing through. I'm having a good day. Now I'm having night pizza as I watch football, as I kind of follow the bunny around the living room. And then, you know, people came back and they're like, "Can we have more?" I'm like, "You can do whatever you want, but if you put it away for tomorrow, you get to have some for lunch. So what do you want to?"
Yep.
They're like, "Yeah, yeah, let's do lunch. Let's do lunch." I'm like, "Okay." So there's the pizza story wrapped into a bunch of different things. So
We're
I appreciate your thoughtfulness and that was a cool gift. Thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome, dude. Yeah, the whole I have similar I have similar memories of my parents doing stuff like that. I wouldn't see any of the packaging, but you and I have talked about this. I'd smell it in the car. So my parents the next morning, and it was usually Friday night, and so my parents back in the day, they bowled on Friday nights. And I'd be sort of home, you know, hanging with my sister, whatever. And then Saturday mornings, I bowled. So my dad would be driving me driving me to bowling in the morning, and I'd be sitting in the car, and as soon as I sat down, I'm just staring at him like this. And my brain's going, is and I could tell. I could tell. I'm like, you had McDonald's last night. You had Wendy's last night. They smell different. They smell different in the car. And it's funny, you and I have talked about this that when we grab takeout for the fam on the Friday and you get out in the car in the morning, well, any day of the week, but let's say the weekend, you're doing that quick pickup. And there's it has to be, I'm starting to realize that it's sort of it's pickup that has to be a certain distance from your house. Because I've picked up Little Caesars before. It has to be in the car for a certain amount of time. There's a science here. Not going to try and work it through, but there's a science here. Little Caesar in my current vehicle with over a 7-minute drive home, I don't smell the pizza in the car the next day. But I've picked up McD's that's double that length, so it's about a 14-minute drive home. The next morning, it's like it's still in the car with me. But it's funny, this whole thing's really funny and strange, but just the getting in the car the next morning totally triggers these memories of when I was a kid, much like "What were my parents doing last night? Why did they get and I didn't?" And then it's funny, because even though your family had it the night before, there's, like, the hope not that there's any in the fridge, and leftover at McDonald's isn't that great. It's not that great. I mean, I don't know. It's like a one-way meal for me. You eat it when you got it. Room temperature's okay. You put it in the fridge, I'm not down, and I don't like nuking it, so but anyways, I get in the vehicle that morning, I'm thinking to myself, "Well, if they got it last night, maybe I deserve it today." So this was me at bowling, right? So every time I smelled it in the car in the morning, when we come back, I'd be like, "Yo," like, they'd be around noon when we're done bowling. I'm like, can we get some McDonald's for lunch?" And there was never a guarantee. There was never a guarantee. Like, what I thought I was leveraging is like, "Well, this is like burger equity, bro. Give me mine. This is what I need." There was no guarantee. Sometimes my dad be like, "Well, your ma's making lunch," because Saturday afternoons after bowling was like tuna melt. We always had tuna. I like tuna melts, but I would have rather had a Big Mac, I think. But yeah, you talking about that late night pizza and connecting it to when you're a kid. For me, it was McDonald's. It was smelling in the car. That was the evidence. It wasn't coming down into the house. It was just because I think I never thought to look in the garbage really. I just never looked there. I would get in the car. I'm like, "You had McDonald's last night. Betrayal." Hmm. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, okay, so as soon as you said burger equity, that's all I could focus on. I love burger
Sure.
equity.
Yeah.
Late night food equity.
Yeah.
No, it
It's
was good.
beautiful.
Um, we were You and I went back and forth a lot this week about a lot of different things.
Yep.
Um, I want to land on our work for a minute, like the work we do as professionals. And
Mhm.
I don't want to get into like my experiences this week, but I have to tell you, I felt like a breath of fresh air this week when I was doing my job. I had this moment of
Like a fresh breath of fresh air for yourself?
for
For
me,
for
like,
others? Or you were just
eh,
aware that it felt fresh? Like, what was the layer thing?
certainly fresh for me.
Yeah.
Certainly fresh for me. So what triggered it a little bit was I visited my wife's classroom. I dropped off some smile cookies for her
Mhm.
class, and being in the room, being in her classroom and seeing the stereotypical primary classroom and kind of engaging with her students, um, it lit me up in terms of like my time teaching primary, and also just interesting. Like it felt like something from Back to the Future. Like I had gotten into my Honda CRV DeLorean and went back in time to see what the kids look like when they're in the room and they're operating silo style, doing their thing in school. And then as soon as I got out of there, got back in my Honda CRV DeLorean and blasted back to the present of, oh, here's a kid that won't go to school or goes to school and doesn't give a rat's bleep about any of it for a number of different reasons and layers.
Mhm.
It was very interesting. So it just had me reflecting on, I really think that my time in the classroom over the last 20 years has really helped prepare me for what I'm doing today in a weird kind of way. And what I bump up against is that feeling of being a classroom teacher, looking at a student who doesn't generally comply with anything that kind of in my mind requires compliance, doesn't show any care or excitement about anything we're doing in the room, even though that student, their wishes have been considered and taken into account, kind of thing. And my reaction to that, and being like initially upset that the student isn't happy or doesn't want to participate, but then after that feeling of being upset goes away, it's a feeling of, well, this is my lived reality. So I just have to go with it and go with it the way it is, right? There's nothing I can't do any more than that. I'm stepping out of the view here for a second. I got to grab something. But all that was rolled into me driving from one location to another doing my work and just thinking, I actually put it into practice. So, as you know, I told you about a situation I participated in yesterday where um, I think maybe normal school staff, stereotypical staff would not agree with the way that I manage the situation. But in my mind, kind of the work I'm engaged in is like, it is so, it is so non-traditional and it is so raw that hey, if the everyday stuff worked, I wouldn't have this role. So everyday stuff isn't working, and I need to operate on a different level, good or bad. I don't know what to call that, but certainly somebody sees fit that my position exists. But I found myself in a really weird space yesterday, just talking to a kid outside of school, and even me driving from my work location to this individual's house felt weird because like how many classroom teachers get to just get in their car in the middle of the day and drive somewhere, right? Like it's weird. So I was feeling a lot of vibes this week around my work, but all I ended up all in a positive place, that hey, this is my job. I'm going to do the best I can do. I'm going to lean on my years of experience with kids in the classroom and with the system and see where it takes me. Um,
I'm a
and
fan.
I know
I'm a
you're a
fan.
fan.
Yeah.
You've lived on the periphery for a long time. Even as I tell you, as I'm working with a student and I'm telling them just in plain language, I have no control over what your school is going to do in this situation. Let me tell you what I'm doing now and what I will do for you. But having said all that, I don't know what happens when you're not standing in front of me. I don't know what happens. And I can't speak. I actually said to the kid, listen, you need to meet me halfway. So when I advocate for you, I don't look like a complete idiot. And then you get this kind of side eye. What do you mean? I'm like, well, I can't sit with you and school staff and kind of propose things that are going to sound so crazy to people that they're going to be like, no way, we're not doing that. I can't do that. I can't lean on any of that if you don't meet me halfway. And then it's like, well, and if you don't meet me halfway, well, nothing changes. Like, that's the thing. I think a lot of people think, well, what happens if? What does happen if? What does? I don't know. And part of me doesn't care because I can't walk around worrying about what ifs. I need to worry about this is what's happening. I'm going to respond in a measured way, in a professional way, but it boils down to, are you going to trust me enough to meet me halfway? Because if you meet me halfway, that's the first step. That means you're willing to try something. You're willing. You're it's like you're putting your run you want to go for a walk and you're scared to walk a kilometer. But if you put your shoes on and tie them, you're committed to at least wanting to try something different. So it's the same thing here. It's like, just put your running shoes on, stand in front of me. And once that fear is gone, then maybe we can walk a little bit and I'll walk with you. And even I told you, even if I'm getting snowed, even if people are lying to me about things, I need to let go of all of that. I need to take the information that comes to me. I need to do something with it um that is like meant to move everybody forward. And then what comes of that. And that's it. That's all I can do. So lots of feels this week. Lots of feels around like the DeLorean going to the past, coming back to the present. Unfortunately, my car won't allow me to go to the future. But when I was in my wife's class, boy, oh boy, I'm looking, I'm like, it's so weird too. I'm like, why is that kid not paying attention? I just brought in cookies. What's like, that's where I'm going. I'm like, why is that kid this like it's just weird. It's weird. And then one more thing, my buddy was telling me about his daughter, and she was kind of like, he said she missed school and she wasn't feeling so great. And right away, my spidey senses went up. I'm like, bro, trust me with, I'm going to ask you some questions. I just want you to trust me. So I asked, and he's like, well, why are you asking about all that stuff? I'm like, this is where it starts. And he's like, no, nothing's starting. I'm like, just, you have to think about where I've been in my work for the last year. Like, where I've been in my work, what I've seen that's led kids to certain places. So I'm a little bit raw when I hear certain things or see certain things. It's like, uh-oh, that's not how there's something going on here. And everybody just laughs at me. And that's fine. I have no like hard data on what's
It's
happening.
also good to be that guy in the room.
I don't
It's
know.
g
Anyway,
No, it is. It's good to be that guy in the room, and but it can feel really lonely too, and you can sometimes feel like the system doesn't necessarily want you there, right? And I'm only pointing out because when I can remember, so, you're tapping in, I've been there, I've done similar work, and I've asked similar questions, and I've brought to light or shined a light on things that the system didn't expect me to find important, but I did because of sort of the things I was noticing. And I can remember at the time, I'm like, am I gaslighting myself? Like when I first started to use these things. And I think that's the withdrawal symptoms of walking with the system, not being directly of the system. And it takes a little while. This is the reason why people leave education. All of a sudden they start yapping. Oh, this was bad about the system. Here's what was going on. This is also why there's some clapback sometimes when people step out of positions of power or positions of observation or positions of privilege. And they're like, why didn't you say something at the time? And they can hit them hard and say, somehow they should have flexed their power differently. But I would argue at the same time, the system is pretty intoxicating. Like you just like, you can sort of do work without ever doing work. You can fulfill a position, you can be in a position and never really maximize or optimize the position. And I think it's partially inherent in the system. We were talking about yesterday in our staff meeting, we're coming up with these focus statements. And one of the focus statements was around critical thinkers. And quite a few people are talking about, yes, we have to get them to sort of activate, get them to do all these things, da, 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 da. And I put my hand up and I said, I think we also need to focus on how compliance is enforced and how compliance and the system, how it wants us to comply, can actually keep critical thinkers from being critical because there's punishment that sometimes that the system bows down. So, and then there's silence. It's like, oh, because I was being that guy. I was being that guy in the room, right? The t-shirt guy, the equity guy, the guy that sort of thinks a little bit differently. couple things. I love one of the reasons that I love that you're doing this work. It's very, very selfish because it's a very, very selfish reason that I love the work that you're doing. Because I'll say, because I felt like I was that guy a few years back when I started doing very similar work, I had nobody that I thought to myself, I want to try and aim for what they're doing. That's what I'm going to aspire to sort of work in a way that way. I was very much kind of like constantly breaking new ground. I think there's also like back in the day, I had the conversation with Hurley, and there was something like novel about whatever work I was doing because in the stable of teachers that he was talking to back in the day with voice ed, there wasn't a lot of sort of, I mean, I think he used the word fringe. He first kind of said that you kind of go out there and then you kind of come back to center and say, here's what's kind of happening just outside your view. But I didn't really have anybody that I thought to myself, I would say I had colleagues that were doing similar work, but we were all kind of in parallel work. So it was kind of hard to tell what we were working towards. And I would second guess myself. I would think like, am I actually doing the right work? Because there was no guidebook. So what I appreciate after the fact is that you're doing this too. You're making similar observations that I made. It makes me sad because I feel like you're making it's sad, glad, bittersweet. You're making observations. I thought to myself, my God, like this is now 7 years later, and you're discovering similar things in your board. Because then I time travel. I get in my DeLorean. I'm like, we've been working on these things in my own board for over a decade. So it gets that, how different boards kind of work. Ultimately, same kids, different boards. That's how I'll kind of say it. Like we have very similar kids with the exact same challenges. Your board's getting on board now with this kind of work. So I do that. The second thing that I love about this is that it re-lenses what school looks like. You even going back into that classroom and observing the kids and having more information. I'm starting to lose that lens because now here's the thing. It's been a while since I've been in that zone. So the only thing that I'll say in this, what's really fascinating is that whatever position you're in next, you will also lose that edge and it'll be replaced with something else. So what that does for me, and I think what it did to me, I didn't realize that, is that I know my first couple years when I was back in school doing whatever reg school, is I was fighting against the dying light. I was like, nope, this is what I saw. I want to make sure that I on ramp whatever I learned in this space. It became part of my mission now back in school. And what's fascinating about that, this last thing I'll say about this is that even though I'm speaking about my own experience and that's now several years in the past, there are still people that believe that that's not what education is. They'll actually push back and say, really? Like, that's why you're pushing out? Like, that's actually a thing. I'm like, it is. It is. It was. And I want to put it to you to sort of try not to see it once I've sort of put light on it. So there's that extra layer to it. Wherever you land next, fight against the dying light because part of when it becomes more of a memory than active service, the system's intoxicating, bro. Right? That rawness that you're talking about right now, where shit lands, and you're like, man, look at that. It's brilliant. It's lit up. It's got like intensity to it. It's got kind of like energy to it. It's like flipping and flopping right there in front of you. This item, this idea, that'll start to callous over a little bit, right? And because you're back in the system and you have to use different kind of tools to operate. But I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you because I think this is going to be the electric experience for quite some time. And I love that you're lit up about it too. I really do.
I'm really open to it.
Yeah.
I'm really open to it.
I think
And
that's a key word. That's a key word. That's your one word. Hashtag one word.
I don't want
Open.
I don't play that. So
Ha-
I
ha-
appreciate you pushing that, but
hashtag no words. There are no words.
yeah, hashtag it'll be as many words as I want it to be. That's what my hashtag is.
Yep.
So, um yeah. Thanks for listening to my stories.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Did you draw anything today?
I did.
Let's see. Oh, it's a pumpkin, bro. Pumpkin spice, man. You and I were hitting the Twitter hard with the pumpkin spice responses, eh?
Having some fun. Having some fun. It's an SYP moment. Won't say that on the air.
No, don't, bro. We
That's
gotta
too
keep our
edge.
certificates. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Just
Gotta keep.
imagine the after effects of too much spice. It's
I
an
don't think there's
acronym.
such thing, man. Too much spice. Let dude, this pumpkin spice thing hits deep, eh? Because for my wedding, Sarah and I, we got married in October,
Mhm.
and
That's
so it was
cool.
a
A
nice
fall
fall
wedding.
wedding.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was beautiful. One of our cakes, one of our wedding cakes was a spice cake.
I like that you said one. How many did
Yeah,
you have?
we had like it was like three of them.
Hmm.
Um, one of them was a spice cake. Oh, you're gonna love this. Great story before I end off.
Okay.
Okay.
Take us out. Take us out with this story.
Okay, so we have our wedding, we have our cakes, and I don't remember all the flavors. I just because we had three or four different flavors. One of them was spice. And what we did was we did the traditional, you save one of your cakes, you freeze it, and then you,
That's a
you
thing.
I'm not done explaining the thing. You freeze the cake and then it's your 1 year anniversary. You take it out, you thaw it, and then you eat it as like a reminder of you've never heard that tradition?
I would never do that. I don't think we had any cake left.
Okay, so but it's built in. Like you're supposed in my mind, we were supposed to have a cake to take home with us and put away until it was time to eat it a year
Hmm.
later. But here's the funny thing. So we take it out and it doesn't taste good. Like
There's no. Yeah. See, that's not. See,
it didn't taste good to us. But
that's a bad
I have
metaphor. That's ominous.
that's BS is what it is. So anyway, you're gonna love this. At the time, our new house that we built a house, and at the
Mhm.
time they were like there was a hole in the ground, they were starting the process. So Sarah and I drove over to our house, and we tossed the cake into the foundation,
That's
and
awesome.
they built on it, which was awesome. So because we didn't live far from where our new house was being built, and we
Mhm.
would go over and visit often and see what's going on. I'll never forget, it was dusk, and we brought the I'm like, we can't eat this cake, it doesn't taste good. She agreed. I'm like, let's toss it in the house. Or maybe it was her idea, I don't remember whose idea, but we got in our little Civic, we drove over there, and we literally took this cake and tossed it into the foundation of our house.
That's awesome.
These are
That's
the
good. That is.
stories, these are the life stories. Everything else
Yep.
is boring. I like stories like that.
I was gonna suggest at some point we should do an AMA episode.
AMA?
Yeah.
American Music Awards?
Nope.
Oh,
Sure. No. Ask me anything. So we sort of do stuff like this, just kind of like bounce. And you can always say, yeah, I don't want to answer that one. And then like, okay, use up your turn. But the key would be like if we're going to try and make this slightly competitive, is to get as many questions answered as possible. So you got to
gosh.
have good questions that get to the edge without sort of revealing the edge. That's a great story. I like that. I do like that story for sure. So this is a former house or your current house?
No, it's our former this is our second house, so it was
Second house.
our first house that we built. Yeah,
So somebody else has rats right now and they can't explain it. They're like,
that's funny.
why are they hanging around that one spot on the floor all the time?
Somebody else has
Y-
rats.
Yeah, the dog's whining, like trying to dig at the concrete.
Oh my god, I've got so many stories about that house, but I'm not gonna tell them. I like the AMA thing. I gotta
Mhm.
go though.
Yep,
Thanks for doing the early morning podcast today.
I dig it. I get to my chores faster. Today I'm painting the upstairs, so it
Oh,
works for me. Yeah. It's okay.
enjoy.
It's okay. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay. Thanks for showing us your pumpkin. This was season 6, episode 4, 212 of the Decoded Podcast. Peace, Cluff.